Hi, Dr. Holly. So today I'll be doing my sheep brain dissection. Here's my brain. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's get started with the dorsal view. This is considered a dorsal view. So we have the cerebral cortex here. Let me use my pointer here. This is a cerebral cortex. We have the cerebrum here, you can see, and it's the largest part of the brain. You know, it's divided into two hemispheres. You can clearly see that right and left hemisphere here. What's interesting too is you can see those hills and valleys that you talked about in class that make our brain wrinkly. So those, the gyri and the sulci. So the gyri is like that protruded area, kind of that looks like a hill, and then the sulci is the opening. So, you know, the little insertions, very neat. Okay. So then we can go posterior. We've got the cerebellum here. It's often referred to as the little brain. It sure does look like a little brain. Then we've got the brainstem. So, but the cerebellum, it controls like our coordination, of balance, like walking, standing, etc. And then, like I said, we have that brainstem here. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the lobes. Well, you know what? Let's do the fissures. So I've got here the biggest fissure, which is known as the longitudinal fissure. So we can see that here clearly. And then I can also see that central sulcus here. I don't know if, you know, this is a good picture of it, but it runs here. And that divides that frontal lobe from the parietal. And then we've got that transverse fissure as well that divides the cerebellum from the cortex. So very interesting. Now let's get into the lobes, how I said. So let's start anterior to the brain. Here we've got the frontal lobe. You know, we've learned that that's, you know, our higher level thinking. Like it's involved with our voluntary movement, our planning, our decision making, our personality, which is interesting. So kind of what makes us human. And then as we go down posterior here more, we got that parietal lobe in this area. It's involved with proprioception. That's basically knowing, you know, where your body is in space without having to look for it, kind of like our GPS. It also has to do with some somotor sensation. That's kind of like knowing where you're, you know, in your body, what you're, where you're experiencing touch. And then as we move down, actually a lateral view here. Let's do that. We've got that temporal lobe, and you know, that's involved with memory, emotion, but particularly with our auditory processing. So, you know, where it's at makes perfect sense. It's you know, close to the ear proximity. So then let's go ahead, and this is the occipital lobe here. And that's involved with our visual, you know, processing information. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn the brain to a ventral view. And let's talk about the brainstem. So it's various parts, obviously, to the brainstem we've learned. Let's start posterior. We've got that spinal cord. You know, that's what connects the brainstem to the rest of the body. It also assists in, you know, sending sensory information. We learn efferently and afferently. As we go up, we've got that medulla oblongata in this area. So yeah, that connects the spinal cord, the pons to the spinal cord, and it does help control important processes like our heartbeat, breathing, even blood pressure, etc. And then here, right here, this is like a little protruded area that is the pons. So it is known for that afferent sensory information that's coming into the brain, and we learned that word decussates. So it decussates in the pons, and later it's directed, you know, to the region of the brain that's controlling the processing of it. And then we've got the midbrain, which is this area here. And the midbrain, that is the highest part of the brainstem. It is involved with motor movement, like sequencing, planning, and initiating, you know, like smooth movements. Okay, and then let's go ahead and talk about the optic chiasm. I believe that's how you say it. It's kind of like that little X structure you can see here. Pretty good, I think. So the optic chiasm is in the area of the brain, you know, where the optic nerves connect, and it captures that information in our retina we learned, and it's processed in our contralateral hemisphere. And you can clearly see those tracks. So we've got that right optic tract and left optic tract, and that continues to carry, you know, that visual info after it's passed through the optic chiasm into the brain to be processed. And then this is interesting here. It's like a little hole, and that is the stalk of the pituitary gland. And we learned that the pituitary gland has to do with like our hormone production, our metabolism, reproduction, and things of that nature. And I believe this here is a ventral, like you can see this hypothalamus. I believe this is that, not too sure. Then let's go ahead and get to the anterior part here. We've got, oh, this is nice, the olfactory bulbs. You could clearly see those here. It's pretty neat. They kind of flap, and you can see the olfactory tract. So this is the right olfactory tract, and then this is the left one. You can see it better on this side. You can kind of just follow there. And let's see. Okay, so I guess we've got to cut into the brain. I'm a little nervous, so hopefully I get a clean cut. So we'll do a mid-sagittal cut. Okay. It's really squishy. Let me see. Oh no. Let's see. Hopefully that was a clean cut. Okay, I guess not too bad. Let's see what I can see in here. Let's go ahead and start with the corpus callosum. Okay, so that is that area here. And as we know, the corpus callosum is the largest commissure in the brain. You know, we learned that it's a bundle of axons that assist in the communication between those two hemispheres. It was really cool to see, to learn that women have a bigger corpus callosum, which makes so much sense why we multitask. And then we've got I believe this is the ventricle. Let's see. Yes, this has to be that lateral ventricle. That's where the CSF fluid, you can find it there. It helps, you know, providing nutrients to the brain and washing it from like neurotoxins. And we learned that it cycles about every 72 hours. And then we've got, let's see. Looks like everything just kind of looks the same, but let me see. The fornix, I think I see another little C here, right here. It has to be this. So I think this is the fornix, and right below that fornix, we've got the thalamus, which I really wanted to see the thalamus because we've talked so much about. So this is the thalamus. You could see it's a little more pigmented, and that's our grand central station. Basically, it's involved in relaying that sensory info, how we learned, into the cortex, obviously without the olfaction, of course, excluding olfaction. So yeah, this is pretty neat to see. I could clearly see those ventricles, really cool. You know, the brainstem. Oh, I think this is the pons as well, right here. So yeah, that is my brain dissection. Thank you. This was pretty cool. I was nervous, but I think I was able to, you know, get through. So thank you.